So we have to talk about the balance patch today because, oh my goodness, it is going big. Now, I've had a quick read through of them just to, understand what's going on. But let's just quickly explain what's going on. And we're just going to jump straight into the agent changes. So we have Omen's change first. His dark cover is getting a cooldown decrease, so you'll get more of them per round. The cost is going up, but the speed is going up an absolute ton. So they will get there so much faster than they were before, right? So that is an absolute massive change overall. His shrouded step, that's easy for me to say. Cost has been decreased a bit, and the delay has been decreased a bit. And paranoia is made it so that it hits your teammates less often, basically. If they're standing right next to you, like adjacent to you, it won't hit them anymore. Overall, good changes for Omen. I think that the big one is going to be the speed increase here and the cooldown coming down. Some very nice changes for Omen on the whole. I know that other people were excited for maybe some other things like ult changes or whatnot, but I do think overall this is a nice change, and with what we've got to get into, you'll see what I mean. Anyway, Brimstone next. So his deploy time has decreased as well, and his smokes are getting bigger, basically, and his stim beacon also applies a 15% speed boost. So, taking from Spike Rush what they were doing before. So, yeah, some smokes, some stim beacon increases, and Brimstone gets, I would say, a little better, not crazy better. But the big changes are about to come because we're coming to Astra. There's a lot to read about Astra, as you can see. So, the max stars is going from 5 to 4. That's already like a big nerf, right? The cooldown from retrieving a star is going from 14 to 25. So that's when you place one down, but you don't want it, so you call it back. That you have to wait 25 seconds now to get that star back, which is an insane change as well. Like these two changes, they could have just said this and it would have been enough, but there's more. Astra can now pick up stars during the buy phase. That doesn't really matter. And the star placement increased to 30,000. I guess there was some, maybe like on Breeze, you couldn't, I honestly didn't know, but maybe if you were sitting in a corner of Breeze, you couldn't place stars on the other side of Breeze. I didn't know that was a thing, but either way. Gravity Well cooldown increased from 25 to 45 seconds, and the size has decreased a bit as well. And it doesn't affect anyone underneath, which I think means if, say, you're on Ascent and you place a star in A Heaven and you Gravity Well it, then people in Hell would be affected by it. That won't happen anymore. Nova Pulse, again, cooldown increased to 45 seconds, and it also doesn't affect anyone underneath either. The Nebula, the cooldown is increased as well, obviously to 25, similar to the actual stars themselves. And the cooldowns are now sequential instead of simultaneous. So if you've got the cooldown waiting for 2 smokes back, that won't happen anymore. And the nebula size is increased a bit, so it seems like they're increasing smoke size on the whole. But crazy changes, right? And then in astral form, basically just this is more quality of life stuff for most of this. That right, like it pings aren't blocked. It now shows the unified size of all her utility on the ring, which was annoying that it didn't do before. It doesn't disappear. They increased the speed of in and out, and they fixed it where you would accidentally click on like a box that wasn't meant to be targeted. All good things. These are really nice, like quality of life changes, but the nerfs are absolutely massive, like absolutely crazy nerfs to Astra. But as I said, I thought that like just these 2 lines probably would have been enough, but then they also added up cooldowns on Gravity Well and Nova Pulse and made it smaller as well. Like just an absolute crazy amount of changes to Astra as a whole. And so, forget that maybe the Brim and Omen buffs aren't maybe as big as you would expect. The nerfs are what matter, right? And then we come to Viper as well. So Viper, again, they hit the top line is really what we need to focus on. Fuel drain increased 50% when Toxic Screen and Poison Cloud are both active. I am shocked that they did this. Absolutely shocked that they did this because I don't know. That seems like a pretty big hit. Like a really big hit. And you'll have to, I don't know, this might change the way you have to think about Viper. Maybe, you'll have a Poison Cloud on one side and like, you don't want to bind where you put your wall across the other side and then you put like your orb on short or something. That might need to be done more in all the maps so that you can just like, oh, they're mostly leaning towards one side. I can just use my wall and keep up for a while, right? Because 50% as well. That's a lot. And her fuel bar now turns red when she doesn't have enough fuel. That's a cool, nice little change. But then also there's more. So the cooldown after deactivating is increased for both the Toxic Screen and the Poison Cloud from 6 to 8 seconds. The cooldown timer now starts when her smokes dissipate instead of when the deactivation telegraph plays. The deactivation delay was decreased which is actually a nerf as well, I think, right? Because like, you deactivate it and then it would stay up for like a while, and now that time is being reduced. So I think that's also a nerf. I mean, I guess in some circumstances it's not, but I think mostly it will be as well. And this is true as well for the Poison Cloud. Also, it now has yellow lights to indicate when it's on cooldown, and it removes delay on the toxic screen when she's just suppressed, and you have a unique voiceover line that plays when she is suppressed by KO. So that's true for all of that. That's just the same. And the snakebite duration is decreased from 6.5 to 5.5. Honestly, like, these changes here, I was expecting Vibe to get nerfs, like, in a small way. I did not expect that. Like, this feels like a big nerf. Like, I was expecting maybe the rest of this. It's kind of like small nerfs that I can kind of understand. Makes sense. This feels like a crazy, crazy change overall, and I think will have a big, big impact on the metagame as a whole as well. And now let's move to Yoru, who we've already seen a little bit of, but let's just quickly talk about him. So the fake out. So you only get one of like the clone version of Yoru's instead of two, which is a bit sad, because I did like the idea of having like 3 Yorus just running in a line and them having to guess which one's which. So that is a bit sad that is not the case, but you can still do all the kind of same things where you right click, place it and stuff like that. And we know if it gets shot, then they get flashed. But because you're only getting one of the fake out, you're getting 2 gate crashes instead. The cost is 200, and basically it's a 2-kill reset again, which is interesting. It can be faked by pressing F, so that will play the audio and the visual from it for a brief seconds, but the time it takes for the teleport is decreased by a lot, 1.5 to 0.5. Crazy. Teleports in-game audio whilst traveling has been reduced as well, so basically the sound it makes has been decreased in terms of the radius of that sound, and its speed, so the speed it travels at, I assume, has also increased. So when you're putting it towards a place, it's also increased. And upon activating a felt teleport, the beacon creates a small decal on the floor for 30 seconds. Which was the little puddle there that we saw in the thing. And dimensional drift. The duration has increased to 10 seconds. Yoru can't be seen by anyone, but he can be heard. The unequipped delay time has increased, though, and that's basically it. So here's the idea with Yoru's ult, because I've seen people say like, oh, isn't this just worse? It's less of a duelist ult now, and it feels more like an initiator ult, to be honest, because I think the way you're going to use this, because of like the unequip and equip times being increased, and the fact that they can hear where you are still, I think that this is going to be used more as like, you're just going to scout out for your team, maybe, ping someone's here, and then you're just going to flash them on the floor because you can use your utility in it. And that's how you're going to use it, more of an initiation tool where you're not going to be the one that gets the kill, but you're going to have like a guaranteed flash on the floor for someone. You're going to have like a guaranteed flashed enemy if you can, use it with your teammates pretty well. So that's how that will work. And now let's go to some map updates. We'll come back to it and kind of give our overall takes of the agents. But now let's quickly go to the maps. It's mostly Icebox. Ascent BO can now be taken from the lower box. But let's quickly look at Icebox as well. Ton of changes here we need to talk about. So first one is this door is changing here, so this space is opening up. So instead of the door being here, the door is out here, and this space has been kind of widened a bit. Should be very interesting to see how this changes, the first sort of attacks towards B. I'll be interested to see what happens. Obviously, defenders can like no longer sort of sneak up into this area. And here we go. So let's keep going. So overall, they widened the space here as well, going towards B. That should favor attackers as well, coming down here. Generally, wider spaces are better for attackers in general, because it means that defenders' utility is less likely to hit, and there's more space to escape, although it's not like crazy wide, so I don't think this will change will make too much of a difference. They also changed this, which at first seems pretty meaningless, right? But one thing that has happened is that this obviously used to be in line, and now it isn't. And that means that if you're an attacker, you can come down here, look towards sight, and aren't visible to, these angles over here towards yellow. You can just sit in this corner and take a quick look at what's going on towards the site without being, out in the open to your other side. Or even potentially, someone on the flank as well. So that's pretty nice. Here's the big change, obviously, everyone will go to straight away, which is the change on yellow. The idea behind this is basically for post-plant scenarios, they didn't want people, to just crowd around yellow. So they kind of made it, easier to clear, because this is an open lane now space the defenders can easily look into. And so you only have like this little area and behind these little boxes to really, deal with. There is a ton of changes here, by the way. They also have this, which I guess is creating like a bit of a safe plant location as well, which is quite interesting. You know, obviously this is a pretty massive change. They also got rid of these boxes, as you can see, but that actually isn't as big of a deal as you might think, because as they'll talk about later, this can now be planted behind this orange box as well. So that's kind of already doing the job there, I suppose. But it is quite interesting. But I guess the idea is they want you to get, you know, further into sight. We might see a sage wall across here instead and a plant here. That might be something that happens quite regularly if Sage is still played on this map. I have no idea. They brought this wall in a bit so that, you know, it makes it easier to smoke off. That's pretty much what that is. They closed this off. You know, you can't go in there anymore. I don't think that'll have a massive impact, but there it is. Here's the plant locations. You can now also plant on the bridge here, which is a very open place. If, like, say you're in a 1v1 and you know they're on the other side of the map, if you plant on the bridge, like, good luck to your opponent, because, you know, like you can come anywhere around here and swing on the bridge. You know, they're gonna have to get up if they come from below. So planting on the bridge could be a pretty interesting plant location, and we'll have to see where that can be seen from. Definitely seems very interesting. But you can see here you can like plant in this corner here and have protection from some angles if you plant in this corner without a sage wall. So we'll have to see if Sage actually still sees play on it. It'd be interesting to see. Icebox here in mid. Small changes to like the kitchen area. I don't think that'll make too big of a difference. This one is quite interesting. They've added these boxes here under short when you come through B through mid. I think that's a really interesting change, because the problem is, and I've said this on many of my videos, like when you go for a B split on this map through mid, like it just doesn't work, because as you come around here, you have to look at the window, you had to look at like all of this, and then even once you were there, you know, you could get flanked from behind. There was just too much going on to ever possibly attack it properly. And so it never really worked. Adding these boxes does help quite a lot, because it means that you can just like hug this wall. You know, you might need to check this first, but then you can just check window, and hopefully that allows for like a slightly better execute towards sight. Boiler has been narrowed, and as you can see, the ramp has moved across only to that side. Again, I think the idea is so that a smoke can cover, you know, at least a good portion of boiler, like, or at least like this part of boiler, so that they can't see you coming here. Like if they're standing over on this side, you know, and you sneak up on this side, then you can probably get pretty far up before they ever are there. So that's really nice as well. Maybe makes mid a bit more of a possibility. This has been changed to a box that you can spam through and obviously can't jump on, you know, Viper ults and things. You could just jump on this and see people's feet. That no longer seems to be something that will happen, which is nice. This is a pretty nice change as well. Changes for this is a defensive change overall, because you can no longer jump on this and like peak head angles and things like that, but you can on the defensive side. So the defensive side kind of has an advantage with this platform now, which is quite interesting also. And then this has been shortened so that people can't spam your feet from like screens or anywhere above there, you know, that would often happen. That's quite nice. And that is pretty much it. There is also some map things here as well, where, you know, like the system is going to look at maps that players have played over the last 5 maps of that mode, and it will remove any that the player has played twice in the past 5 maps, and the system will pick the least played map. So basically the idea is, you know, hopefully we'll see different maps. And then there was some bug fixes as well, but those were the changes. Obviously Icebox is going to be completely different. I mean, it's you'll have to play on it to see like how different it actually is and what's going to be good on it and whatnot. The agent changes overall, I am a bit Yoru I'm pretty hyped for, to be honest. I think Yoru will be at least a lot of fun. Like whether he'll be good, I think is still up for debate, but he'll definitely be a lot of fun, and that's kind of at least a very positive thing. The nerfs to Astra and Viper, like I know they were very good agents, but they honestly feel like maybe even a bit too much. Like they feel like a lot. And that's going to have a massive change as well. And obviously Brim and Omen being buffed like slightly alongside that means that we should end up with a controller pool. I mean, it might just flip completely. We might just end up with an Omen Brim meta. Who knows? Astra, got hit very hard, and I know that some people are saying like she's the best agent in the game, which I don't think was true, but she was very, very, very strong. I'm a little disappointed, like the Jet didn't get nerfed. Maybe that Jet character and that Sova character that everyone plays. I mean, you could say that Astra is the most important agent, but like Astra sees less play than Jet by quite a way. And I'm talking about pro play here, not just rank. Obviously in rank she does, but and also Sova is also picked about the same rate, if not more than Astra as well. So it kind of feels like I don't know how they avoided kind of, you know, the nerf hammer. It seems a bit weird, especially Jet, because I mean, at least Sova is kind of in his own sort of zone, whereas Jet, it feels like it's just keeping a lot of the other duelists back. I have no idea why Phoenix didn't get buffed. I mean, you could have argued as well for like Neon buffs as well. Like, some things I don't really know why that isn't there, and considering, you know, we've been waiting for balance changes for so long, I am almost a bit disappointed that, you know, like, why isn't Phoenix, why didn't they just change the flash time of Phoenix? Like, how hard is that to do? Like, even if it's just a start and you need to buff him more later on, at least start with that. Like, at least make him, you know, playable in some way. Like, I don't know, that seems a bit odd to me. But anyway, yeah, some very interesting changes. I'd be very interested to hear what you all think about this as well. Absolutely crazy overall. And I'm very interested to see where the controller meta goes. And I'm very interested to see how these changes impact everything. But I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. And with that, thank you so much for watching and have a nice day.